adults, welcome to Everybody Hates LA, your go-to source for celebrating the soul of Los Angeles through the stories of hometown heroes and creative visionaries. Today, we're diving into the world of culinary mastery with the one and only chef, Drew Andrade. If you've ever wondered what it's like to work in Hollywood's most iconic kitchens, open award-winning restaurants across the globe, and serve jaw-dropping meals to the world's elite, this episode is for you. Chef Drew's story is wild. From opening restaurants in LA, Hong Kong, Dubai, Miami, and Peru to leading the kitchens at the most legendary spots in LA, Drew has literally done it all. Today we're talking about Drew's journey in the kitchen, how he creates art and makes food fun. He's also spilling the insider tips on how you can be a better host, the kitchen tools you actually need, and how to create the perfect ambiance for your next dinner party. Don't get your hopes up. If you're still coming over to my place, I'm burning all the food, so I'll get us takeout sushi, and I have lots of wine. But say yes, chef, to tune in. And remember, from one angel to another, you can find yourself in the city of stars. Guten Appetit. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from California originally, born in California. I grew up in Tennessee, in Memphis. I went to university there, and I came to LA day after I graduated from university. I started working in Chateau Marmont, Spago, and I was a sous chef at Spago in my early 20s. And then I opened a restaurant with an Australian group. Maybe you know some of the restaurants now, like Elefante and Evele. And then I left the country to open restaurants. I started in London, and then I went to Dubai, opened a restaurant in Dubai called Novikov. From Dubai, I went to Miami, South Beach, for the same group. And then from South Beach, I went to Moscow, and we opened a whole bunch of sushi concepts.
In Moscow?
In Moscow. And then I went to Lima, Peru, and developed a concept with what was last year the #1 best restaurant in the world, Central is called.
Wow.
Yeah, just good timing. Like I was just in the right place at the right time. And I was the group chef at this point. So I got to open the sister restaurant to the #1 best restaurant in Hong Kong. And then right after I did that, I opened another restaurant in Hong Kong right above the sister restaurant to the Peruvian restaurant. There was a Greek restaurant called Kea. And I went to Mykonos to do like R&D and develop menu for that. And then it was like 2019 and the riots from China regaining control over Hong Kong. You had to shut down the restaurants for a while. They stopped plane flights. And at this point I was like exhausted, I think.
Yeah.
And so I decided to come back to the States. And then I was going to take some time off, and instead I worked for this big corporation that has private restaurant clubs. And now I'm going to be doing private chef stuff in Los Angeles full time as of like very recently. So, yeah.
This is crazy. I have so many questions. And I also feel like such a peasant because you hear about all these like private clubs and special fancy restaurants that like nobody else knows. And I'm like, oh, that's like a fairy tale. That, like other people do that, you know? But like this is real stuff.
It's real. But to be honest, like, I mean, most of the ones that I've been to, the people are not people you want to hang out with anyway. So
really?
It's like, yeah. The conversation's like, it's a different conversation.
Is it like business?
It's business. Yeah, this one is a boring business one. The one here in Los Angeles that I work for, Trump was a former member, and there was like, and so was Clinton, so was Bill Clinton. And there was like pictures all over the walls. And stuff
really?
like that.
Wait, that's so special. It's like a speakeasy.
It's almost like behind closed doors, like Republican and Democrat doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're all friends.
Yeah, they're like, hey, what's up, Bill? What's up, Joe?
Do you think with Instagram coming out and social media, like, did that change the way that you present food, the way that you present the atmosphere? Like when you're thinking about opening up a restaurant, like obviously it's about the food and how it tastes and the quality of it, but all of the other stuff, has it gotten more complicated, or do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like you absolutely, it is of course about the taste and stuff like that, but it almost might be more.
Yeah.
Like in very recent years about the presentation.
Yeah.
And like the show factor.
Yeah.
Like I do a lot of desserts with liquid nitrogen. So I have like a couple tanks
my favorite.
that I bring
so
around.
Fancy.
I do like Dippin' Dot style, like I was doing for some celebrity investors just a couple weeks ago, a tasting menu for a new concept. And I did cinnamon toast crunch and waffle crisp and cookie crunch, Dippin' Dots with like foam out of a ISI container charged with nitrous oxide, and then I had a nitrogen tank, and I was squeezing like the creme anglaise, which is the base ice cream base that was Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Waffle Crisp, into the liquid nitrogen, and then pulling it out. I mean, mine is just 2 double cheeseburgers and fries.
Yummy.
Yeah, I'm not a Big Mac. Do you do Big Mac?
No, I like a McDouble.
You know the buns for like Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, like how the buns are so great. They are like a copy of what is like the Chinese bao bun. So like, you ever had steamed bao buns?
Yeah.
So like that is what the McDonald's bun is. And that was taken from like Chinese influence for, I mean, so many years ago. And Chick-fil-A as well. Like, they even do it the way they do, like in basically a steamer. Like, you know how Chick-fil-A gives you when you get to go, they put it in the foil bags.
Yeah.
Like, they do that to keep the steam in.
Wow.
Because that's how it makes it chewy.
And the softness.
You know, soft and chewy at the same time. Because opposed to like, you're at an American barbecue and you get like those big thick buns that like right off the grill, and it tastes like you're eating like a baguette and a piece of,
Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting?
So tell me about a time where somebody like something either like totally failed, or I don't know, like before like we started recording, somebody just hated the food that you made.
Okay. So how about how about a fail injury story?
I want the worst story ever.
I started like going after some private chef gigs, and I got a big one like a year ago. And actually it was a year ago this month. And it was in Dallas. And I do feel lucky in the fact that like, I do love what I do. I love being a chef, and I love cooking food, and I do it in my spare time.
Yeah.
And it just so happens to translate pretty well for like dating, you know, because like it's something different, I guess, for people.
Yeah,
and
to receive it, you know.
Yeah, and I like doing it. It's also fun for me. And I was doing it for this was actually just a female, but she was just a friend of mine. And I was probably like, I think I was doing a couple dishes I was going to be doing for them, because it was like basically a trial for them.
Yeah.
Like 2 days later, and I did like 6 courses for her, and we were just having
6 courses.
Yeah. For them, I did 10, and on the last course, well, not the last course, but the last savory course, I, for some reason, decided to take these like small radishes I had and shave them finely on a mandolin. Do you know what a mandolin is?
No idea.
It's like a...
I still have the same college silverware. Like,
okay.
I still have the same knives.
A mandolin is like... it's just a big razor blade.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That you shave stuff on.
Like potatoes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And but it's stationary, right? So the razor blade sits like this, and you shave like that.
Okay.
And so like, if you shave the potato all the way down and you're not paying attention, you know, then it's going to shave your finger off. It's the most dangerous utensil or thing in the kitchen, like, for sure. And anyways, I shaved off my index finger halfway through the nail and my thumb. and my pinky because I was holding it like this. And I was just topping this like steak dish with like some thinly shaved radishes. And it was 2 days before this trial. And I'll just fast forward a little bit to like, it made the trial really hard for me because I didn't have like fingertips and because you can't do anything about when you cut it clean off except for solder it. So I took an iron because like I'm really under crunch time.
No.
Yeah. It's not the first time I've done it too. So I didn't have any fingertips and I had gauze that was like, I mean, just massive.
Oh, because it's probably bleeding or not after you.
Bleeding. It bled for like 2 months. Yeah.
Do you have like scars? Did they grow back? I mean, they look fine from over here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I have scars. Let's see, I have like, I'll show you some. Like my whole arm is burned right here. You see that?
Wow.
That's pork fat. This one is the same with duck fat. I mean, just like stuff like this. I mean,
You even know where like the.
oh yeah. I mean, well, because it's all the time. You know, it's all the time.
That's crazy. So did you eat the food after?
With the fingertip in it?
Yeah.
Actually, the fingertip didn't make it to the food. So,
Oh, sad.
But she was more distraught than I was when it happened.
I feel like I would be freaking out and I would be driving you to the hospital.
Yeah, like right when it happened, I go, I think I was like, oh no, this is real bad. I was like, you're gonna freak out, but don't freak out, okay? I was like, I'm just gonna sit down on the floor. And I sat down on the kitchen floor.
You walked her through
Yeah,
your
but
crisis moment.
Exactly. I walked her through because I didn't want her to panic and like call 911 or something, especially if I happen to pass out. Because like it was that bad. It was the worst one I've had in probably like a decade. You know, because in the beginning of your career, you lop off a lot of fingers. It's no problem.
Is that a normal thing?
Totally. Yeah. So anyway, that trial, I actually did okay, but I had this one, like I said, fish is my thing, seafood. And I had this one like really nice Japanese red snapper, which is called kimadai or alfonsino in Portuguese. And it was a whole fish and I had it there and I was going to have to like scale it and clean it and fillet it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because of my like, basically like, you know, big fingers with the gauze on it, I couldn't do that. So I had to skip that course and they were upset that I skipped the course because I presented them a menu beforehand. And so I didn't get the job. Luckily, I didn't get the job because then better stuff came later
Other
on.
things came out of it.
But I'll tell you one more story real quick, okay? So I have this knife called a deba. It's a Japanese knife. It's for like butchering a whole tuna. I was in Dubai and a Sri Lankan guy was a sous chef. His name was Udaya. Udaya asked me if he could borrow it to cut black cod. Black cod is like butter. It has no resistance to cut through it. And this knife is heavy and it's forged out of one piece of white steel, number one. It's called hanyaki in Japanese because most knives are softer metal pounded on top of a softer metal, pounded on top of a softer metal, where this is just carved out of one piece of metal, like how they used to make samurai swords.
Yeah.
And he walked up to me. He went in the back to cut the fish, asked me to use the deba, and then came back to the expo line of the kitchen. And he had a towel over his hand. He said, "Chef, I think I made a mistake." And his four fingers on his left hand were split in half like a banana peel, like down to here, like that. And I never saw him again. I swear to God. That's like a terrible way to end the story. I've talked to him. He's fine. He's doing great too.
Did he go to the hospital?
He went to the hospital. He was in rehab for his hand for like 6 months to a year. He didn't come back to work for a year. And I was gone by that time.
Oh my God.
I actually talked to him recently and he's married and has a kid. And like,
You're like, I never saw him again.
it was crazy though. Cause I mean, he passed out right after he said that. And then we had fire trucks, but then service was starting. So I couldn't like go, like I had to do the service. Yeah.
Coming back to Los Angeles, right? We're such a city of networking and experiences and making an impression and making a good impression. What is something about like creating an atmosphere or like hosting people that people generally forget?
As far as like, let's say the front of the house or
front or back that you just notice like as a chef, like the details.
Yeah. Wow.
Because you're the core, like you're the core behind everything, right?
Fresh flowers.
Fresh flowers.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, like just recently, just last week, this couple that I was doing dinner for in Beverly Hills, she actually mentioned fresh flowers to me on the phone before.
Yeah.
which I normally do anyway. And I'm glad she did that. And I was like, oh, you guys know your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like it'd be nice if there was fresh flowers, you know, like that's a centerpieces, like just table setting in general is such a big deal.
Wow.
I gave like a presentation a couple years ago for the company I work for at like a conference, we had an annual conference we had on elevation in presentation. Like I did like a 45-minute PowerPoint presentation just on how important it is to have different elevations. Cause you know, like when you're throwing a dinner party or your friends and everything's just flat.
Yeah.
And the table doesn't have a centerpiece or anything. And it just doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But when there's like, maybe this plate is stacked on, or something is stacked on like a riser, or like flowers in a tall skinny vase. And then like.
There's dimensions, there's different.
Exactly.
But does that make the food taste better, do you think?
I think so. I think the mood, you know, depending on the food, because like bad food is just bad food.
Yeah.
But it can definitely make good food taste better.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then heat as well.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think about any of that.
Like
stuff.
serving hot food hot and cold food cold. Like making sure the plates or bowls are hot before you put the food in it, and making sure like if you're serving salad, put the bowl or plate in the freezer before you serve the salad, so that when even if it's family style, you know, before you serve the salad, everyone gets their bowl or plate in front of them. It comes out of the freezer, so it's cold. So when you put the salad on the plate or the bowl, it's still cold and it stays cold.
So if it's warm, do you put it in the microwave or do you put it in the oven?
Put it in the oven. You just put the oven on, I mean, as high as the oven will go.
What about some staple pieces, dishes for hosting? Like any dishes so like if I'm hosting a dinner party just for, I don't know, my girlfriends or something, right? Yeah. Not for a specific holiday. Yeah. What are some like central dishes that I could make that aren't crazy hard to do, but just are good to have, right? Like if you know, I don't know, like every meal should have a salad or every meal should have a dessert. Sure.
So like I think the if you're talking about dinner parties specifically or hosting specifically, the way you start it out is kind of the most important thing, even more important than the way you end it. Meaning like appetizers, past hors d'oeuvres, but like not that stuffy. So like something like pimento cheese dip.
Sure.
But that you made. Because if you make pimento cheese dip, it's very different than the stuff at the store, right?
Really?
I mean, everything is very different.
buy everything from the store.
Yeah, and it's so easy to make.
Yeah.
Although like if you make this dip especially, you probably won't want to eat it yourself.
Yeah.
If everybody made it, nobody would eat it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, I'm just eating a whole bunch of cream cheese. But to have like dips or spreads, like already out when people arrive, or like right when they arrive, it goes out, is so important. Because as soon as people start to think like, God, I'm hungry, I can't wait for the food, you're fucked. It almost doesn't matter like how good the food is that comes out.
Because they're just eating it to eat it.
They just like, there won't be enough, you know, for them. And like, it means they're already irritated if you're thinking like, so just having like something ready. Like for me, I like guacamole, but then, you know, tzatziki. Yeah. So like tzatziki guacamole. It's very easy. You just combine the two things. And that's a dip, and pimento cheese dip, and it's nice and fluffy. You put it in the KitchenAid, like with a whisk attachment to make it, even if you buy it at the store. Sure. Okay, honestly, if you buy it, pimento cheese dip at the store.
For Thanksgiving, I buy things from the store. I'll order it from a restaurant and I'll just put it in my own dish.
Yeah, and then just add like one avocado to the avocado
I sprinkle
tzatziki.
some like things on it.
I mean, honestly, chefs do this. You know, not in restaurant, but I mean, chefs do this. Then like, you know, you just refresh it with a fresh avocado, refresh the pimento cheese dip with a little bit of fresh cheddar cheese or something. And then like a big pile of chips or like pita, you know, something like that. But just like having food ready to eat when people come over is like so important. You know, when you go like to a party or something and like everyone's looking around like, I thought there was supposed to be food here. Yeah. And then when somebody brings out the food, everyone's like, vulturing to it, and then it feels like you're at like some kind of like money grab or something.
Sure. What about a drink?
So, I mean, I always do like a play on a margarita, you know, but to make it different or to make people think it's special or feel special, egg white foam. Do you make cocktails?
No. I I have beer and I have wine. I feel like when I move in 2 weeks, I'm gonna take you shopping with me, and then you can help
Honestly,
me.
I should come back and show you a cocktail
Yeah.
and show you like an appetizer and show you a dessert. Because I could do it. So we could, if you would have told me yes last night, I would have had it ready today. No problem.
I'd be too scared.
But there is like one device that is easy for people to get, but I think people are afraid of it. And that's piece of equipment, I guess. And that's a ISI container or a siphon.
Huh.
Do you know what this is? You see bartenders shaking it.
Yeah. Okay.
At bars,
yeah.
and then they turn around, whipped cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whipped cream containers. If you put like mango puree, an egg white, a little bit, and then like whatever kind of liqueur you're using, say you're making a margarita and it has a little bit of Cointreau in it. So you put like a shot of Cointreau in that ISI, and then you charge it with an NO2 charger, which is nitric oxide, and you shake it, and you have this yellow, beautiful foam on top of the drink. So you can make your regular margarita, even with like margarita mix, like store-bought, over ice, but then the siphon, and then like sprinkle some tahini or something on top of it, and it looks like something like, and shove, basil or mint or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It sounds so simple when you say it. I feel like it would just elevate the whole
100%.
experience.
And it's like 3 ingredients in a siphon. It's nothing.
You're going to have to teach me. This will be the follow-up.
I will teach
so y'all wait for it.
100%.
Okay. What are some kitchen must-haves that like everybody should have in their kitchen that they either don't or like they're not even thinking about?
Totally. Oh my God, I could talk about this all day. How many can I say?
10 will be our max.
No, but like I should, if it had to be like 2 or 3 or.
Let's do 5.
5. So I'll start with the most basic of basic.
Yeah.
Stainless steel for saute pans. Stainless steel is the only saute pan that people should buy, unless it's copper, but I imagine most people not going to buy copper.
Yeah.
It's just about conducting heat in the most efficient manner. And stainless steel does that extremely well. And then copper does it the absolute best. But copper is super expensive. It can be like a couple $100 for one small pan. So just having the right pots and pans, people that have aluminum pans, which is what most of these things are, they don't conduct heat, and it's uneven cooking. I sound like such a...
No, but that's why things like don't come out the right way.
They don't come out the right way, yeah. Basically, like the rule of thumb is if it's heavy, it's good. And then also, you get a stainless steel pot and pan. It's like All Clad, the brand.
Yeah.
It's lifetime. You have it for life. You only need that piece. You never have to replace it, and it has a lifetime warranty on it. And then other than that, I would say for like electronic stuff is a hand blender. So like a small cordless hand blender.
Yeah.
You can mix, you can make drinks, you can make purees, you can make soup, you can make anything on a small scale. Like personally, my favorite, wooden spoon.
Wooden?
Yeah. Like, like those old school, like for making, you see people like making risotto or like stirring a sauce, like in the old days, and like tasting in the wooden spoon. Like wooden spoons, they don't give off any extra flavor. Like people use metal and they scrape the bottom of the pan. It's not going to scrape the bottom of the pan to have a metallic flavor in the food. And it's also not going to shed any kind of metallic flavor or plastic or anything like that. So wooden is always great.
Do you have any plastic in your kitchen?
Yeah, definitely. Spatula is like, that's actually going to be my next one.
Yeah.
It's like a small spatula.
I do have a lot of those in a lot of different colors.
So in my personal kitchen, I actually have speed racks. I'm not sure if you know what those are, but if you go in, like, definitely seen them in commercial kitchens, they're racks, they hold sheet trays, like multiple sheet trays, like in bakeries and stuff like that. Yeah. So I have like quite a few of these where all my pots and pans hang. And like I have an ice cream machine and vacuum pack machines, and
it's hilarious.
Yeah. So date night's like pretty good at my place.
You got the candles all set up. You're like, come over.
Yeah, totally.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Okay. Gosh, there's just so many come to mind. Okay, what's realistic? Yeah, so
cutting boards. I do need.
Oh gosh, cutting boards.
That's a big one.
I'm a psycho about cutting boards.
Wooden, or do you do like regular cheapy ones?
Okay, so definitely not cheapy ones, but I use a lot of wooden ones. But there's one cutting board that nobody has, only commercial has. And it's called, you can look it up, they're beige. And I'm going to get the material name wrong, but it's almost like a heavy duty rubber. And so when you cut with a knife, instead of the knife bouncing off it like plastic, which is like the worst feeling and sound and everything about it.
My favorite cutting board.
Yeah, exactly. It, you know, it goes in a little bit, but doesn't leave a mark in the cutting board because like it absorbs, you know, like reabsorbs itself or whatever. And it's called NSF. So it's an NSF cutting board, and they're beige and they're quite expensive as well. But they last a long time, and it's easy to wash. Yeah. Because like wood, if you cut something raw like meat or fish, and you don't like oil it properly. I oil my cutting boards like twice a week.
I have never oiled my cutting board.
Yeah. I just like oiled all my furniture the other day just because I did the cutting board. And I was like, I'll just do everything.
Whatever works. If you like it, I love it. Yeah. So interesting. Okay, let's do rapid fire about LA and your favorite restaurants. So, favorite restaurant in LA?
Favorite restaurant in LA?
To go to as a guest, not to cook it.
Oh, I think it just closed recently. It was Mansky's in Bicyclette.
I've never been to it.
Oh, really? In Santa Monica?
Mansky's?
You know Republique?
Yeah.
It's the same owner, husband-wife combo of Republique. And they just announced the closure not too long ago.
What should people look out for when they're picking a restaurant?
Atmosphere. Even I pick restaurants for atmosphere. If I'm not going for R&D.
Okay.
If I'm, so like this one I just mentioned on either list that I'm going to on Friday, I'm going there because the food and the chef. But usually, like, actually I go for atmosphere.
Interesting.
Because if the atmosphere is not good, it like almost doesn't even matter about the food.
Yeah.
Like I'm a chef, but I'll be the first to admit that like 80% of it is the front of the house.
Wow.
Yeah. Unless the food's like terrible
then it's
and you're running away.
What's a staple dish that people should order to know if the restaurant's like good? Like what's like a core?
If the place serves omelets.
I was thinking like Brussels sprouts.
Oh my gosh. That's honestly the last dish that you should order. Like
Why?
Because like 90% of Brussels sprout dishes are just fried in the fryer. Yeah. Well, I mean, just dunking them in oil. My favorite. That's actually how they used to like try out chefs though, is they make you make omelets. When I first started at Spago, they made me make omelets for staff meal like every day for like I want to say like a couple months. Yeah. Before I was a sous chef there. And I probably made like, I don't know, upwards of like a couple thousand omelets in the first couple months. Yeah.
That sounds brutal.
It's brutal. But like the way you cook an egg is the chef says the way you can tell.
Wow.
How a chef is. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. If people get to go all over the world to go to a restaurant, what restaurant should they go to? Anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's real easy. I spent a lot of time in Spain, working in Spain. Even this year, I was in Spain working. So I would say definitely Spain. I have a personal affinity for San Sebastian, which is Basque Country, or the most western part of Spain, northern part of Spain, like right below Biarritz, France. And at one time, there was more Michelin stars per square mile than anywhere else in the world. I think now it's Tokyo.
Wow.
But it is like a small old school town where, I mean, it's so small and there's just some heavy hitters there. I think there's like 6 3 Michelin star restaurants.
Okay. Where can people find you if they want to learn more or watch you cook?
Well, I have a website. It's just my name, drewandrade.com, or Instagram. It's Drew K. Andrade.
All the reels.
Yeah.
I've seen you use your hands, your fingers. Those are the left.
Well, they grow back.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Everybody Hates LA. Peace.
Peace.